Welcome back, boys and girls, to a battle against a guy, and the guy, in fact, that kind of saved my channel with his help, helping me set up CFW, as I explained in the last video, and the issue I explained in the video before that. I'm not going to dwell on that much longer, but yeah, this is a really cool guy. He's actually a really excellent YouTuber as well. I was recently looking at his channel. He has some solid narrations and has very solid battling skills. So make sure you check him out at the conclusion of this match. And yeah, this is a OU match. I'm using some interesting Pokemon, including Star Raptor. Pokemon I always really liked. Don't really use that much, but yeah, he has obviously a pretty scary team too. So let's go ahead and get into it. He's going to go ahead and lead with his Scizor, which is almost certainly his Mega. I'm going to go ahead and lead with my Rotom Wash, which is on the surface a pretty good play. He doesn't probably want to stay in against me because he doesn't know my set yet. I am a Scarf Rotom. But he obviously doesn't want to stay in and risk a Will-O-Wisp, and honestly, he's not like he can do a whole lot to me anyway, so I'm just going to go for a Volt Switch. He goes out into his Amoonguss, which will obviously absorb that, and I'm just going to go to my Star Raptor now, and knowing that he's probably almost certainly not going to stay in against Star Raptor, I'm just going to go for the U-turn. He doesn't want to stay in, obviously, and take a Brave Bird, which will obviously kill the Amoonguss. So instead he goes into his Landorus, and that's obviously going to absorb this as well, but getting a little bit of chip damage on his team, and trying to get the matchup advantage right now is me. So, going to go out into my Weavile against this guy, and I decide actually to go for the knockoff, predicting the switch. He's going to wisely go into his Scizor again, which I really should have probably expected, but I'm just going to go for it, and yeah, it's not going to knock off an item or be boosted in strength because you cannot knock off Mega Stones. So, yeah, that ends up being a, advantage to him. So now he's going to finally be able to force a switch. I'm going to go into my Rotom Wash, because I do take the Bullet Punch pretty well. He's probably just going to try to go for the U-turn, and indeed he does, so it allows him to get some nice damage on my Rotom. Like I said, I'm not Bulky Rotom, I am Scarf Rotom, and he almost certainly knows that after seeing that damage. And, yeah, obviously that allows him to go back into his Amoonguss, which can match up pretty well against my Rotom Wash. So I'm just going to go for a Volt Switch, might as well get some chip damage. I know he's probably going to try to go for a Spore, so I decided to go into my Breloom, which obviously has the immunity due to being a Grass type as well. And, yeah, that doesn't affect me, and that's pretty cool, although it's not really a whole lot my Breloom can do to this Moongus outside that fact, so I'm like, okay, he's probably not going to try to go for a Spore again, and let's just go into a Heatran. I actually wasn't even predicting Hidden Power Fire, I really just had nothing to do with Breloom, so I end up getting the Flash Fire boost, which is awesome, and, yeah, he's just going to go now out into his Tyranitar, and that's fine. This is actually a Bloom Doom Heatran, so I'm like, I have no idea how much I can do with Bloom Doom against this Tyranitar, but I'm going to try. He's probably going to try to predict a switch, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to set up the Stealth Rocks, and let's just go for a Bloom Doom. If I can kill him, excellent. If I don't, then, well, let's hope that he over-predicts. So, yeah, I set up the Stealth Rocks. I just need him to not go for an Earthquake. So, yeah, let's see how much this Bloom Doom does together. I was, like, so hyped about this. He is getting the special defense boost for Rock types, I believe, still, so that's going to actually save him from dying. He survives with a sliver of health, and he ends up going for the Pursuit, thinking that I would switch, so really excellent turn for me, and we know I'm faster. I decided to go for a Magma Storm to finish him off. It was kind of ballsy on my part, because Magma Storm has pretty bad accuracy. But my only other move, I mean, I could have gone for the Earth Power, but I kind of thought he would switch, and I figured Magma Storm would, like, cripple something if it tried to switch in due to my, Flash Fire boost. So in comes Keldeo, and that's obviously going to check my Heatran pretty much completely. So I'm just going to go out in my Rotom, and I'm thinking it should scare him away. He ends up being a Calm Mind Keldeo, which is kind of interesting. But no, he pretty much knows I have the Scarf at this point, so I don't think he's going to risk staying in and taking a Thunderbolt. But after a Calm Mind, I'm like, well, I kind of have to go for a Thunderbolt anyway. And he ends up going into the Landorus, and it's kind of a shame because I was so close to hitting Hidden Power Ice here. I do carry Hidden Power Ice on my Scarf Rotom, so I was like, damn it, dagnabbit, I could have just killed this Landorus right here. But I decided to stick with the more predictable play because I just didn't want to risk that Keldeo doing anything. So in comes my Mew, and he's going to go ahead and set up his own Stealth Rocks. I'm like, no, I don't really want you to have Stealth Rocks. I have a couple Pokemon really weak to them. I predicted the Stealth Rocks here, by the way, because he was only his real Stealth Rocker on his team, pretty much. So yeah, I kind of figured he would do that, which is why I went out to Mew. It does obviously make me defog, which allows him to U-turn now in his Blazefalon. And this thing is actually pretty scary. It's probably Scarfed like most of them, and it can do a lot of damage. And obviously, I'm going to switch out into Heatran. I was between Heatran and my Star Raptor because obviously one of them is immune to he's 2 stab attacks. Staraptor's immune to a ghost, and my Heatran is immune to fire. And I end up getting it correct. I go to my Heatran as he tries to go for a Fire Blast, and that's pretty awesome. Because obviously it's not going to hurt Heatran, and I'm able to set up my Stealth Rocks again. So that's pretty cool. And in comes his Keldeo again, and I was thinking he might try to set up with Calm Mind again. So I go into my Breloom, although if he did, he probably would have been able to just kill me anyway. I have no idea why I went to Breloom. You know what? I probably just went into Breloom because I was trying to sack it. Because this Keldeo at this point is like super scary. No matter what I go into, if it predicts right, he can hit something really hard, and I'm like, well, I don't even know. I mean, I guess the thing I could have done was going to Mew, but Mew's not going to take a Hydro Pump too well, so that's how I figure it, I guess. Anyway, so Rotom's out. I just go for the Hidden Power Ice this time, thinking that he'll probably not stay in with Keldeo. He ends up going into his Amoonguss, though, and yeah, that's not going to be a 2-hit KO, much to my dissatisfaction, because Hidden Power Ice obviously isn't the strongest move. So I'm like, well, now something's going to have to take the sleep. My Breloom is dead, so I can't obviously use it as a Spore blocker anymore. So I'm just going to go into my Mew. And I figured that's because, I mean, Mew is nice, and it's a pretty nice bulky thing, but of all the things I want to be, sleeping, I guess Mew is the least important thing on my team at this point. So, yeah, I'm just going to go back into my Weavile. He ends up switching out into Scizor, so that's a really strong double switch for him. Not sure if he was predicting me to do that, but yeah, that sucks for me. So he's going to go ahead and U-turn, and I go into my Heatran, and this is, of course, going to give him another free switch into his Keldeo. So early in the match, I was getting the switch advantages. Now he's starting to get some advantage here on the switches himself. He's trying to claw his way back into this game. So he's going to try to go for a Secret Sword, and like I said, I just have nothing. I mean, I could have went into Mew, but Mew is still sleeping, and he's probably just going to be able to kill me before I wake up. So it's like I have to sack something to get my safe switch into Rotom. So that's what I do, and in comes Landorus again, and I think I just go for a Hydro Pump, thinking it was my best overall play. I'm just going to go for that, and yeah, it ends up taking the Landorus out, so that's pretty nice. At least it's not going to be able to set up Stealth Rocks against me anymore. But that Blazefalon is still on his team is still really scary, and I'm afraid because I lost Heatran, it's going to be a late game sweep for him. Because obviously now I have nothing that can really take a Fire Blast. I decided to go for the Hydro Pump, well, except for this Rotom Wash. I'm hoping that my Hydro Pump can actually kill this thing at this point, but it does not, and he's going to pop his Z move now, which is a Hydro Vortex. I do have the resistance, obviously, but nothing's going to survive that from Keldeo. Okay, maybe a few things, but very few, especially not a Rotom Wash with no defenses or, bulk investment at half HP. So I go down, and I'm just going to go into Staraptor now, and he has this game very strongly in hand. I just go for a quick attack against this Keldeo just to get rid of it, and he's turned it around a bit, and in comes Scizor, and I'm like, I don't even know what I want to do. Like, I don't know what he's going to do. I'm just going to go for a quick attack, and he just goes for a Roost. So I'm like, oh, right, Mega Scizor, Kara's Roost. I should probably just switched out, taking the opportunity to do that. I really don't want to take additional damage on Staraptor, though, so I'm just going to go ahead and switch out. I go out into my Mew again, and yeah, he's just going to go for a Bullet Punch, predictably, and I pretty much have to sack Mew here. Well, actually, I take that really well, because I am physically bulky Mew, so if there's one thing I can wake up against, it might be this. He's just going to go for a U-turn this turn, though, and I'm still sleeping, so that's kind of balls, and he's going to U-turn, and obviously go out into his Blazefalon. He sees the opportunity now, and he's going to go ahead and take it. And yeah, this is going to be interesting. If he goes for the super effective Shadow Ball, obviously I still have Staraptor, but after that U-turn, Fire Blast will be able to kill Mew, and yeah, pretty much anything I have left. So I'm like, well, I think this is game, because he's going to get that Fire Blast off. Obviously, his Beast Boost is going to raise his special attack. I'm like, well, Weavile, I guess I don't know for sure it's Scarf yet. Might as well try it out. But he's going to miss the Fire Blast. And, I'm glad other people miss Fire Blast, because I always seem to miss Fire Blast at the most inopportune moments. And, yeah, that was a piece of hacks, and that's something I needed to win, and definitely helped me out here. So in comes his Scizor again. I can't really afford to switch out, because I don't want to take additional damage on Staraptor. I'm hoping that Staraptor can actually push me through and get a surprising win. So I'm just going to go into my Staraptor. Due to the changes of mechanics, I know that if I get KO'd at the same time he gets KO'd, Brave Bird, as long as it's his last Pokemon, I will still win, because technically his Pokemon faints first. He's going to make actually a really wise play, knowing that fact, going out into his Amoonguss, which means that his Amoonguss, the damage I take from my Brave Bird from this Amoonguss recoil is going to be taken into consideration now, which means that if he can KO me now with Bullet Punch, he's going to win. Now, at this point, I thought I was going to lose anyway, but turns out he was using a defensive variant of Mega Scizor, and I live at 3 HP, so that is my game, sir. As Brave Bird just annihilates his Mega Scizor. And obviously I'm going to get taken down myself, but Mega Scizor goes down first, which as you will see will translate into my victory. And yeah, wow, that was a good game. The Blaze for Lawn, Fire Blast Miss. If that didn't happen, he takes the game. Obviously he's an excellent battler. He's not going to be, he wasn't salty about it. It was a really good battle, actually, all things considered. I think both sides played pretty darn excellently, and both of us made some really cool plays and used some interesting mons, so it was an overall enjoyable match, so make sure you check him out. Anyway, today's question of the day is going to be, what is your favorite gaming console of all time? While I do enjoy the original PlayStation, the PlayStation 2, and I was really a big fan of the Sega Genesis growing up, I'm going to have to say the Nintendo Game Boy, because I think I put more hours into that when I was a kid than anything else, or, still maybe even. Plus, it was always cool. Obviously, I played primarily Pokemon on it. I played a lot of other games too, but I always thought it was cool seeing everyone else and getting excited when I see someone else, take out their Game Boy and they have a colored cartridge for Pokemon. Because back in the day, remember all the Game Boy cartridges were gray. And I think that was the coolest thing about Pokemon, or okay, maybe not the coolest thing, but definitely a cool thing about Pokemon is how the cartridges were different colors. Like Pokemon Yellow was literally a yellow cartridge, and I think they stopped doing that in the DS games, Pearl and Diamond. I wish they kind of kept doing that, honestly. It might actually convince me to not get the DS download version if it actually was a different color. I don't know why. I always liked it. Anyway, leave a comment about that, and see you guys again next time. Later.